Nayib Bukele is the president of El Salvador. What he did a few years ago, he took $269 million of his country as president to buy some bitcoins. And the World Bank and the IMF basically attacked him for it. They called him names and say he's a dictator, he's a bad guy, because they didn't like what he did. But now, he just posted, flexing on X right now, on Twitter, a current balance of $603 million. So he basically doubled the money in the last 2-3 years by simply buying Bitcoin, which if he took that money and did what the IMF wanted him to do, he would have been lost in debt and all that, which is what they want. I don't understand why especially African countries and all these poor countries don't do the same. Go borrow money from the IMF, just buy a bunch of Bitcoin with it, instead of doing all these, because they're spending money on all these LGBTQ programs and stuff like that don't bring any profit to them, but then they end up being in debt, being indebted to the IMF and all the other countries. It's crazy.
Exactly. You got a blueprint now. You got El Salvador, which was one of the poorest countries in the world. It was one of the most criminal countries in the world. It was one of the most unsafe countries in the world. You got El Salvador coming out, essentially flexing, right, and saying, you know what, we're going to go with Bitcoin, right? And you're right about the figures. It's it's not a double. It sounds like almost 2.5 times, right? Which is pretty cool, right? And to tell the truth, I mean, every government in Africa, or any government that's that size of, or even bigger or smaller, like, to tell the truth, any government that has no established banking system that's hinged on anything should be looking into something like this, because that is crazy. That is, and I mean, Bukele is as awesome, epic guy. All right, respect to you, mate. You're doing great. And I mean, to tell the truth, you're right. Every country should do that, right?